Hello my Moanly fans and welcome to another box set breakdown with me, Mike Moans. Today we're looking at Epic Encounters Local Legends. For those who've been following the channel for a while on Twitch, you know I'm a big fan of the Epic Encounters box set. These traditionally provide 2 boxes per release, one with minions and one with a big boss, ready to run a small narrative for your 5e games, but fully functional with other systems. The idea is you have the models, you have the maps, and you open and you play. This one is a little different and we're going to be taking a peek at it today. The Local Legends range is a bit smaller than the Epic Encounters previous range, mainly focusing on building out narratives for your own existing worlds. This box comes with everything you need to insert new NPCs and locations into your world, with all these amazing handouts and pieces of information provided in the 3 books. As somebody who's been DMing for a number of years through 5e and other editions of TTRPGs, my question is it any good for an experienced Dungeon Master? Let's be honest, many of us already have our own NPCs, we have pre-built worlds. Do we need an additional £40 set? Let's see if it's any good. If you do like what you see by the end of the video, head to Griffin Gaming and use the discount code. Link will be in the description and you'll just save yourself a load of money. And if you like the video, don't forget hit like and subscribe. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, I can taste it. So the first thing that hits me as I open the box is that the paper stuff is protected. You will not believe how many times I've bought a box set like this for just loose strain, worn, dog-eared pieces of paper. So these are the handouts for the various pubs and inns that you'll find in the box set. Some of these are for small gambling games, others are warnings, player handouts, mini-maps and incentives to get the story moving. For the benefit of both DMs and players, I am going to try and keep this spoiler-free. It's great to see each of these pieces following a similar style, but just different enough that you know they're different pubs at different events. Having looked into the back of the box and online, we can confirm these are AI-free, for those who are concerned about that. With many of my D&D and TTRPG supplements, I do end up laminating a lot of the handouts just for durability. These are printed on very high-grade paper stock, and they should be pretty decent for the long term. Just to add a little bit more background to Local Legends. These came out as part of a Kickstarter a couple of years ago and finally seeing retail release recently. The idea behind Local Legends as a narrative is this provides you a series of pubs, a series of inns, a series of locations that you can invite your players to as part of the campaign. Each location and NPC comes with plot hooks that all marry up with various releases under the Local Legends banner. Towards the end of this video, you will see some of the expansion packs. The 2 I'll be showing off at the end of the video are limited to Steamforged Games exclusive and only available through their store, but all the other ones I pre-ordered through Griffin Gaming at a discount. If you'd like to see more about those, including the painting and the how-to guide, do check us out on Twitch 5 days a week. I'm not sure if this is intentional by Steamforged Games, but each of these handouts are just big enough to clip to your DM screen very comfortably. Just a nice little thing for DMs to help show their players without covering up too much table space, leaving room for dice, battle mats, and most importantly snacks. Side note, as a DM, I've never killed off a player who's brought good snacks to the table. If my lot are listening, I really like cheesecake. I really like cheesecake. It wouldn't be a Mike Moans video without some kind of dig at GW, and this one's kind of relevant. In this box set and credited at the back of every book, every artist is credited for their work. This is something that's becoming rarer and rarer in the mini painting and game making communities. So I do give Steamforged a lot of credit for that. That said, it should be basic decency and common practice. For each of these handouts, the colours are printed immaculately, the images are sharp. I also love the touch that you get both the outside and the inside of each building. As a Dungeon Master, I'm very guilty of over-explaining the inside of the building, the vibe and the staff, and just the general features, and neglect to do the outside. This handout here is absolutely perfect for my current D&D world. My players are in a town that has been recycled from old ships. My players washed ashore, the natives of the island have been washed ashore, and this is a culture grown from stranded people. After a few generations, most of the city is built just from recycled parts and driftwood, with very few natural resources available on the island. Respectfully, the biggest problem to me as a Dungeon Master is I'm not an artist. If I want an artist to do a depiction of my homebrew world, it costs me a small fortune, but that's the cost of living and the cost of talent. So these handouts will save me a small fortune when they do line up with my personal events. For those who've been following a while, you know I'm a big fan of the Dungeons & Lasers dungeon tiles. I've been investing a lot of my time painting them, and more money than I should buying the dungeon tiles. I recently built a tavern, which you can see on the channel here, but if I deployed that tavern every time I thought my players were going into that would be an hour and a half of my time just building it. I would like some more pop-up pictures. With that being said, it is still the Dungeon Master's job to describe this in a captivating and engaging way that makes your players want to interact with your world. I don't want to lean too heavily on pictures, nor do I want to lean too heavily on my terrain. It's about striking a healthy balance between convenience, passion, interest, description, and bells and whistles. That said, nothing moves the party towards a location like the promise of a thick goblin. Yes, that subtle noise was the DM's cry for help. As always, it's up to the DM to set the trail for the players to follow. Incentives based on exploration, narrative development, and personal goals are very important, but it is the habit of players to go wandering off or not to follow the ideas you had before the session. I'm sure many DMs can relate to this, but you spend hours creating this vast environment, detailed NPCs, cool little quirks and details, only for your players never to go near it or to wander off. With this set, it's all done for you, so you can just pull this out when they get there without any prep work. The majority of my Epic Encounters box sets have all been used to fill sessions. Whether I've not had time to prepare, I'm missing a player, or they've just gone somewhere not expected, I have always relied on Epic Encounters to be able to grab the box, open, read the DM's guide, and go. It is a huge investment in saving my time in future, and give me a bit of time to relax as well. I don't have to stress about game prep. After the known evil of scheduling, the main reasons games come to an end is DM burnout. Sets like this are amazing at avoiding burnout and giving you a break when needed. Onto the cards, these are quick references for the various games you will find taking place in pubs, taverns, and social places, as well as a deck of fully art NPC cards with their details on the back. Many of these cards pair with handouts that you've seen previously in the video. If Steamforged Games ever came out with an expansion pack just making a full deck of even more playable games, I'd buy it. The NPC deck is a wonderful variety of bisexual panic. I mean, NPCs. For your world. With every race, every variety, gender presentation, there's a lot to choose from. That Silver Dragonborn, gorgeous, so many to choose from. But it's not like there's anybody who can stop traffic. They're all just wonderful. Oh, Jesus! Wait a minute. That makes so much sense. Anyway, video about him next time. I'm just picking out a few of my favourites so we can have a look at the back. I don't want to spoil them all for you. Goblins in top hats tend to win. So like I said, these are a quick reference, so it does give you the very opening gambit. You recognise their top hat. Then you go back to the book and it will give you the full bio, what they know, what quests they can give. Really well fleshed out. Again, these are quick references to keep on hand, so if your players don't talk to them, you haven't covered table space, you haven't gone diving in the book wasting time. If they talk to them, or if you wish to engage with them, you take the card, you flip it, you go to the book, you find out the rest of the information. Now, I love a big collectible hardback as much as the next guy, but between the 5th edition published books officially, a few unofficials and Kickstarters, I am absolutely drowning in probably about 30 kilos of books. It's so nice to have some more smaller books that are just portable and, again, less room at the table. That said, they're not shy on content, they're all well illustrated, there's barely a white spot on a page, and they fill up everything you need for this box set. It really seems like they've not cut corners. As I don't want to spoil this for anyone, I am going to work through the book backwards so nobody gets ahead of the game, nobody spoils it for their players or for themselves. But since we're here to check out the quality of this set, let's have a look at this slice of pie. Not only is their portrait in clear focus, so quickly skimming through the book you can find it, you have everything you need as a DM and stuff I don't actually write in my notes. In comparison, let me just show you my notes. I'm a dungeon master who is very used to winging it, but it's making me think how I need to prepare my notes. Everything you need, and then more stuff you probably don't need, is all here on the pages for each and every character. I have never been good with note-taking, but do check out people like Fights and Fancy. They make it so much easier to make your own NPCs and catalogue them. I'll put a link in the description below, but please do make sure you tell them Mike sent you. This NPC sheet is one of many that they have uploaded in the download section, and most of them are either free or just cost you a couple of pounds. While you're here, make sure you check the other downloads. There are loads to help with your TTRPG games of all varieties. Lots of digital workbooks to help flesh out your world and your characters, as well as quick reference sheets that will make your games so much easier. For me, D&D resources are a lot like boobs. I appreciate them on a screen, but they feel much better in my hands. So do check out the physical store as well. If you'd do me a favour and just adopt this little guy, it'd mean the world to me. Look at him, he's friend-shaped. We love him. And back to local legends and into the Tavern book. This here explains all the mini games that we looked at earlier through the cards and the handouts. It also covers a lot of the environment and the plot hooks required for your story. Speaking of plot hooks, one of the main add-on sets to this is a green dragon encounter. Reading this page alludes to the fact that there is a green dragon encounter available, and you could pick that up as an expansion. What I primarily love about these pages is it gives a full breakdown of what every pub is. Now you might be going, yeah, that's the point, Mike, of course. But I'm a dyslexic. So me as a dyslexic, a reading processing disorder, being able to break this down and understand it at my own speed, being very clearly laid out, illustrated, and it follows the same pattern throughout the book. This makes this a very approachable system that I don't have to reread 5 times. I can quickly reference it and I understand it the first time. While that might not be true for every dyslexic, it certainly benefits me. It was about a year ago in a charity stream with the people of Corsair's Cove. I was told that dyslexics picture the world differently, often referenced as 3D thinking. So research showed that children with dyslexia have enhanced picture recognition memory and better memory of pictures over words. So many people with dyslexia actually form these 3D spatial images in their mind versus non-dyslexic people. It's a really weird yet unique spatial ability that helps me process Dungeons and Dragons. So when I'm building a pub, when I'm building an encounter, I'm seeing from more angles. Supposedly in my head, I only know this version for me, but it gives me a lot of ability to build a scene, but it lacks note-taking and being able to explain it in a written format. This book is uniting the bridge between my D&D world and the written explaining of it. So with that in mind, I imagine people with attention deficit disorder, ADHD, dyslexia, and other reading and processing issues could really benefit from something like this. If not directly, just knowing you've got something to fall back on will relieve a lot of the pressure. And for our third book, this is the meat and potatoes of the entire thing. This one book on your own should be a supplement. This is something I legitimately haven't seen before. I'm very surprised it's not in the DMG. It's full rules for a barroom brawl. Also covers every cinematic and fantasy trope of a barroom brawl. So just check this out. You've got the idea that somebody has to be provoked, and you get the target of that to be a random player character or NPC. Then it escalates, and you get support from both sides. Who's going to rally to the defense to each person? Are the other attendees going to help, or your party going to help? You then get to use improvised weapons, your broken glasses, your chair legs. Maybe there's a club behind the bar, who knows? The angry barkeeper, obviously. Nobody wants to have their establishment completely wrecked, etc., etc. And you've got stats for the barkeep, the big guy, all the stuff you need. So moving on to the exclusive expansion packs directly from Steamforged Games. This is the Hill Giant box set. So as you can see, no adhesive needed, and it's suitable for basically everybody who would be at your tabletop. And it's a Hill Giant and his balls. That's really the encounter. So as with all epic encounters, the models are well housed within the plastic, and they come with a pamphlet on how to run everything. This includes things like pre-combat interactions, the combat psychology, and various strategies that might be used to maximize engagement with your players and create a lasting encounter in their memory. One of the things to remember that before you start your encounters is to set it to the player level. Now these are already pre-done for you. It gives you a CR and a difficulty rating, making the encounter much easier or harder as you see fit. I would have loved to have seen an expansion to this that says, hey, if you've got 2 more Hill Giants, this is how you can go forward. As always, action economy is the devil of D&D balancing. The combat plan is not only engaging, it's very thematic to the creature, as per the official rules of D&D and Pathfinder. Sometimes there are a couple of unique twists on this, just so it keeps the game fresh and puts that Steamforged spin on it. With this combat plan, you can pretty much no-brain the entire encounter as a DM. Banjo is quite unique because he does have access to things like Vicious Mockery, which is very uncommon for a Hill Giant. The encounter is only made more difficult or easier by the DC and damage of some of his basic abilities. His hit points and his CR technically don't change. The balance for multiple players, I would suggest adding some more Hill Giants, or maybe some more local orcs or bandits, your general ruffians. But yeah, I want to add another Hill Giant called Kazoo. Maybe accordion, get a 3-man band going, living the best life. Even before reading the encounter, with a battle map like this, giant boulders, and a giant at the top, we're going to be living our best Donkey Kong life. Little encounters like this can be really good for the soul of D&D players. As a DM, I love putting pop culture references into my games. We currently have a pet pig in an Indiana Jones jacket and a fedora with a big gold chain. Shout out to you, Piggy Smalls. So with all Epic Encounters kits, they are PVC plastic, pre-assembled, any parts are glued together. Let's check out Banjo. On occasion with PVC, you find these really obnoxious mold lines. I certainly had issues with this with the Red Dragon Encounter box, but Banjo seems pretty clean. Any small areas, a small bit of sandpaper will fix in no time. Just for scale, I've compared this to a Dragon Trapper Lodge Draconian. All in all, top marks of Banjo. Moving on to a Freet Encounter, the second of the exclusive box sets directly from Steamforged or from the Kickstarter. This box set is flagship by one of Freet with 5 fire elementals. I do really like the fact that these are so well structurally put together. The models always come safe, and you can store them in there again. With the size of these boxes, I think you could put them on a bookshelf and remove them like tone, which is just very satisfying for me with my gaming corner. So once again, you have the full behaviours, the characteristics, how to balance. This is a repeated pattern throughout all Epic Encounters. But by God, that artwork is stunning. Again, for larger parties, you could just add greater elementals or more minor elementals if you need to pump up the difficulty for a bigger or more powerful party. Opening this battle map, as stunning as it is, it did kind of remind me of a flaw with the major box set. We have lots of art for the outside and the inside of the pubs, but no playable space. In the core box set for Local Legends, I would have loved just a generic bar. Just a simple counter, floor, tables, stools. Nothing more. Something that's ambiguously any bar you go into. So let's get our hands on the models. These 5 elementals are repeated sculpts, which, let's be honest, is no problem. They're adorable. I can see these getting many uses outside of this set. This is Freet. This is stunning. I had so many ideas for a colour scheme on this, but I really went out my way to do something a little bit different to my normal work. With the previous Epic Encounters sets before the Local Legends, everything came in a coloured plastic, so you could just open it out of the box. The kobolds were red and the snakes were brown and the goblins were green. With this, I do miss that vibrancy. That said, I put some in myself, and here's the pictures of what I worked on. Each set took me approximately 4 hours of painting. You can see these live on my channel. If you'd like to see more pictures of these, they are on my Instagram. There's a link on my profile, I'm sure you'll find it. Pictured here, I have used bits of terrain from Warlock and some terrain from Dungeons and Lasers, as well as some solo pictures. So guys, this set is genuinely fantastic, gives me a lot of mental space. It's brilliant for new and old DMs. There are some areas it can improve, like including a generic battle map, but by God, it's value for money, certainly with the discount from Griffin Gaming. If you enjoyed these, please check out my other videos, and please do consider subscribing to the Patreon. It keeps the channel alive. Much love, and thank you for watching.